Hey guys, it's Fishing the PNW here. You guys have been asking me for a rod and reel arsenal video, so here it is. I'm going to start off with the 3 casting rods that I used last year. Last year I was more on a budget than I am this year. This is probably what I'm going to call the best bait casting combo that you can get for under $80 after tax. So if you're on a budget, I would highly suggest this combo. The rod is a 7-foot medium heavy Abu Garcia Ambassador tournament grade rod. You can get this at Walmart for like 33 bucks or something. You can also get this reel there for $40. You've heard me talk about this, the Pinnacle Platinum Plus LP100. This reel casts really far and it reels pretty smooth and it's really nice. So again, after tax, this rod is, just under $80. It's got a good backbone on it and it's got a good tip, but at the same time the tip isn't super stiff, so you have a little bit of give for setting the hook, and overall it's a very universal setup. A 7-foot medium heavy, you can pretty much do a little bit of everything with it. Last year I didn't have too many technique specific rods, so I would use this for jigs, I would use it for topwater frogs, I'd use it for Texas rigs. I've even used this for drop shotting, believe it or not. And I didn't go out that day with the intention of using it for drop shotting. I just happened to have it with me and I wanted to drop shot, didn't have a drop shot rod or setup with me, so I just tied on a 1/4 ounce weight, and even with 10-pound Berkeley Big Game monofilament, it bombs it out there. It casts super far, and a lot of pros will tell you use the lightest fluorocarbon you can get away with. Most use 6, some even use 4-pound test fluorocarbon. I prefer 8-pound test fluorocarbon, but fluorocarbon does give you a huge advantage, but if you don't happen to have fluorocarbon with you, or you just have monofilament, or you have a heavier line gauge than you think, I would still throw it. It's not ideal, but if you don't have the right stuff, what are you going to do? So that day I ended up throwing 10-pound monofilament on this exact setup with a 1/4 ounce weight, and I was actually catching smallmouth bass on the drop shot, believe it or not, and the water was actually pretty clear. So this was in the fall, so they were feeding heavy, and depending on your presentation, the type of bait you're throwing, you might be able to throw them off a bit. So again, it's not ideal, but I have caught them with 10-pound mono. I just kind of wanted to throw it out there. A lot of people actually call me a liar and don't believe me, but I had friends there who witnessed it. So yeah, and that's not something to brag about. That's not something you would lie about either. But just telling you, this reel really can be used for anything. I mean, 1/4 ounce weight and I was casting it out there super far. And I don't know why, but this reel just casts really far. The other setup I used was pretty much identical. Same reel and same type of rod. This is also a 7-foot medium heavy, but this is a Cabela's Tourney Trail rod. This rod compared to the Abu Garcia rod is a little more stout. It's slightly thicker, it has a little bit stronger backbone, and the tip isn't as flexible. However, it's super sensitive, it's super light, and overall just a great combo. This rod is probably, I don't know, I think they're 60-70 bucks, but they're pretty nice. So the rod's a bit nicer than the Abu Garcia rod, but I basically use them for the similar purposes. It's always nice to have multiple rods, even if they're the same type of action, because you might want like a smaller jig on one, you might want to throw a frog or a spook on the other. So that's pretty much what I did last year. This rod was my favorite rod last year. This is a 7-foot medium American Eagle rods. I got this at not Outdoor Emporium, I got this at Wholesale Sports for $20 on sale. They're normally $35, and these are an extremely underpriced, underrated rod. I mean, it's really sensitive, and it has a lot of line guides. Hold on, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's got 10 line guides, and it's a split grip. This was the last one, believe it or not. I found it in a bin, so I got lucky. The other ones were just a full cork handle. But this rod is light, it's super sensitive, it casts well. And last year I had a Pinnacle reel in here too, but I replaced that with a Shimano Corrado 51E. I have that spooled up with 8-pound Berkeley Vanish fluorocarbon, and you can just bomb stuff out there. Quarter ounce spinners, quarter ounce red eye shads, whatever. You can seriously you can do some damage with this rod and reel setup. It casts a country mile, and it's super light. And I will probably be using this for finesse if I want to throw like little shaky heads or just smaller lightweight lures. I'm going to be using this rod this year. Okay, so some of the newer stuff that I bought. This right here is the Team Daiwa T 7-foot heavy rod, and I have that paired with a Team Daiwa Tiara 153 HL. This is probably one of my favorite combos. I'm going to be using this for a lot of different things. It's a 7-foot heavy. It's a really stout rod, but it's actually surprisingly light for being a 7-foot heavy action rod. And you know, I just love the design of it. It looks really sweet with the blue accents, and the blue really matches the Tiara. I'll probably be throwing Texas rigs on here, small jigs. I will probably flip and pitch with this too, but not into heavy cover. You know, this probably actually is going to be a pretty universal rod too. I like to use my rods for more than just one thing. Personally, I think you can get a lot of good use out of a 7-foot heavy rod. There's a whole bunch of things you can do with it, but those are probably the main things that I will be throwing. The rod that I'm actually going to be flipping and pitching with, you saw this in my other video, it's the 7.5-foot Team Daiwa T heavy rod. This is the one right here that actually telescopes probably about that much, but again, once you extend it out, you can't tell that it telescopes. And I have that paired with the Daiwa Megaforce 100 THSL, and this is the one with the twitching bar. And right now it's only spooled with 10-pound Berkeley big game, but when I'm going to be using this for flipping and pitching a heavy cover, and when I do that, I'm actually going to re-spool it with 50-pound Power Pro, which is, you know, my favorite braid. I haven't ever really had any break-offs with that, even when throwing stuff into super heavy cover, like back in pads or into submerged logs, trees, whatever. So this, I'll probably maybe even use this for topwater too, or I might use my 7-foot, depending on just what I have spooled up for today. But you know, for topwater or for flipping and pitching a heavy cover, that 7:3-to-1 gear ratio is really going to be awesome. I think the most actual technique specific rod that I bought is an actual cranking rod, and I got this on sale on Tackle Warehouse before it went on an even better sale. I bought it when it was about 135 bucks, but this is a Powell Max 753 CB glass crankbait rod. This rod is freaking awesome. If you look at it, it's got a really thick backbone, but it's really light, and the tip on this is amazing. This really does just fling baits really far out there. Let's see what it says in here. They use this, or they specify this as a rip bait, crankbait, spinner baits, and topwater rod. So far this year, I've only thrown lipless cranks on it, and I've messed around with deep diving cranks, and this rod really is awesome. It's got a really strong backbone, but it also has a lot of give for setting the hook with trebles. I have that paired with the Daiwa Acceler crankbait reel. This has a 4.9-to-1 gear ratio, so ultra slow, and it's going to be awesome for throwing deep diving cranks, which is mainly what I bought this for. Last year in the fall I didn't really record, but I caught a ton of smallies on crankbaits in the fall, throwing deep diving cranks, bouncing them off rocks and whatnot, and I'm going to be using this mainly for that. I'll probably use it for jerkbaits and lipless cranks too. So that's pretty much my casting rod arsenal. If you guys have any questions, if you want me to, do further reviews on the stuff that I have, or if you have any suggestions on what you think I should buy next, let me know. Leave a comment, rate, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I will get back to you later. Alright.